Hey, Peter.
Yep.
What's that?
Are you kidding me? Are you that young or are you that old? Which is it?
Can you see what happens when you press that button? What the?
That's the swing button right there.
I'm Adam Manis.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Music Explored.
Explored, brought to you today by Open Studio. Go to Open. Don't do it.
Does that fit on there?
Go to openstudiojazz.com for your jazz lesson needs. Peter.
Oh, as quickly as it started, it stopped.
We got a good one today. We're doing another of our favorite albums. It is Oscar Peterson's 1963 masterpiece, Night Train. This should be, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later, this should be one of the first, 10 albums that every aspiring jazz pianist picks up in the early part of their career.
So you're saying this is the greatest jazz piano album ever recorded?
Why you got to do that? Why you got to put a? Why you got to put a big?
One. Tell me a better one right now. I stumped
okay,
you.
I see what you did. Portrait of Jazz.
We're gonna get into that.
No, okay.
We're gonna get into that.
Okay.
One of the. I like that.
One of the. I think it's just like, even if you don't love Oscar Peterson or this is.
Who doesn't love Oscar Peterson?
There are people who don't
name them.
Love.
This is going to be one of those unnamed sources. I know, because no one would. I mean, people might not. He's universally loved, I would say.
I would disagree. There are people who think it's the Jazz Olympics, that he does too much, that he overplays. I hear these people all the time.
But those same people love him also. You know what I mean?
I don't know. We'll see.
It's like LeBron James. He's too athletic. He dunks too well. It's all about him.
I'll tell you what.
I love watching him play.
If you don't love Oscar Peterson, put it in the comments.
Right.
And we can have a little discussion here in the comments of our YouTube video.
I can tell you someone who will not be re-entering the comments on that question.
Who is it?
Mr. Brad Meldau, friend of the show, friend of the comment section.
Yeah.
I bet he won't be saying he doesn't love Oscar Peterson.
Well, Brad Meldau, if you're listening and you don't love Oscar Peterson, tell us why. And hopefully like a very eloquent essay form. We would love.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so let's do a little bit of cultural context, Peter. This album came out in 1963. The number one movie in America was Cleopatra. The number one TV show was The Fugitive, not with Harrison Ford, before Harrison Ford. And the number one album in America was In the Wind by Peter, Paul, and Mary. My dad had that on vinyl,
Peter, Paul, and Mary, cultural touch points themselves, all three of them.
A Mighty Wind.
Yeah.
Little artist background on this. So this is a trio album, one of the great trio albums. It's got
now possibly the greatest piano. Now that you can make an argument.
It's
for.
in the top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
Oscar Peterson was 37 years old when he made this album.
Wow.
Ray Brown on the bass was 36, and Ed Thigpen was 32 years old on drums.
Yeah.
And this was the trio for a minute, man. They are just like on fire during this time.
Yeah.
And Oscar is, I would say, at the peak of his powers and just culturally relevant and just really, a monster on the scene at this point.
So we think about like the great piano trios and we think about them being such separate periods, but they really weren't. Like if you say, and I'm going to miss a whole bunch, I'm sure, but like Bud Powell trio.
Yeah.
But that wasn't even as much like, because there was different iterations of that wasn't as much of a long-term, like these are the three members. Although there was members that came and went with this too.
Yeah.
But this was his most iconic of
Ray
those
Brown
trios.
in that Bud Powell trio as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the Bill Evans trio with Scott LaFaro and Paul Motion would be like an iconic trio for that.
Ahmad Jamal trio.
The Ahmad Jamal trio, of course,
right
has to be
before this and through this.
Totally has to be in the talking. The Keith Jarrett. It's not the Keith Jarrett trio, but it is that trio with Gary Peacock and Jack DeJohnette.
Yeah,
you've got to talk about
trio.
Brad Meldau's two separate trios, both with Larry Grenadier.
Skipping over a bunch, but yep.
Of course, there's tons. There's of course loads and loads. But
I'm just thinking who else during this period or right before, right after. Ahmad for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But
Red Garland was putting out trio albums with TC and Philly Joe.
Absolutely.
During
Prestige.
this time that were great. I'm not sure how much of a working trio they were outside of just being in Miles' band together.
Right.
But they were putting out records together for sure.
And there was great rhythm sections right on. So you're talking about 1963. We're already into McCoy Tyner, Jimmy Garrison, Elvin Jones.
Totally.
We're definitely
McCoy's putting out trio records at this point too.
That's right.
Yep,
and
for
a little
Impulse.
before this.
Yep.
And then Herbie Hancock, Tony Williams, Ron Carter, of course. Really in their early heyday in terms of with Miles Davis in 1963 as well. So It was a good time.
It was a good time. It was a great time.
So this was, as we said, released in 1963. Another recorded in December of 1962 in Los Angeles. Ever heard of it? The West Coast of the United States.
I believe I've heard of it, yes.
Yeah. Of course, produced by Norman Granz. Grants? That's
the last one.
No.
Grants. That's it. I think how everybody said it. Yeah. Hey, do you know Norman Granz? That's just how people talked back then.
I'm here for a session with Norman Granz.
Yeah, that's how people talked in 1962.
He was probably like Norman Granziano or something before his family made this.
Totally.
But Norman Granz was
Norminato.
Now it sounds weird, however I say it. Grants.
Stop saying it. Stop saying
the madness. Stop. I love this. Is kind of it's sort of a adversarial episode, but kind of a love fest / like because we both love this record so much, it's going to be hard to be too adversarial.
One of the first albums I ever bought. One of the first CDs I ever got. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
So, and I believe we have an original LP here.
We do. Producer Caleb brought in. Yeah. And we got producer Caleb's DJ turntable that I'm trying my damnedest not to mess up, Caleb.
He's look, producer Caleb making
already nervous. He got nervous.
I thought you were saying I'm going to try my darndest not to scratch.
Well, this is
some active scratching.
I'm not sure. Do you do any scratching in your DJ sets? The whole thing.
The whole thing.
That's Caleb is also DJ LimeWire Prime. Follow him on Instagram. But he's got DJ gigs all over town, so we don't want to mess up his gig gear. Is this your gig turntable?
That's the active player. Right?
That's his active. He's his moneymaker, so we don't want to.
That's right. So this was released in 1963. I'm not exactly sure when, but it was another prompt release, recorded at the end of December in Los Angeles for Verve with Norman Granz. And now it sounds weird. Granz.
Again,
whatever.
Just stop. Stop saying it.
The album was dedicated to Oscar Peterson's father by Oscar Peterson, of course.
Nice.
His father worked famously, I think people know this, Oscar Peterson is a Canadian.
Yeah.
One of the great, I know he's on some of their stamps. Like he is beloved in Canada.
We saw the statue, I think it was the statue in Montreal.
In Montreal.
You can go see where his home was and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I've had the chance to meet his wife, who's an amazing, wonderful person who's come to several performances I've been part of I believe she lives in Toronto now because that's where at least that's where she came to the concerts. And she's an amazing woman that stays connected with the music.
He's the pride of Canada. We did that vocal course with Gillian Margot, Canadian vocalist.
Yep. Shout out Canada.
Shout out Canada. And when she was a young singer I think, was she at the University of Toronto or one of those?
At the music school in, that's where we played when I met
but she studied
Mrs.
with
Peterson.
Oscar.
Did she?
She got to study with Oscar Peterson in the very beginning of her career. I think it's so cool that Canadian musicians have
because he lived in Ontario for a big part of his life, but was from Montreal. But it was dedicated to his father, who worked as a sleeping car attendant for the famous Canadian Pacific Railways.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a rich history of connection between trains, train life, the African-American community, and then this, of course, extends into Canada. That's super interesting, and there's a heritage there and connection with the music. Although, Duke Ellington famously had his own sleeping car, which was like the equivalent of the early precursor to the tour bus.
We're a big train city here, man. The Manises were train people. My grandfather worked for Union Pacific on refrigeration cars.
My great-grandfather worked as a fireman in North Carolina on I think it was the B&O.
Yeah.
Wow.
These train lines were huge to industry around here. And
a fireman was the one who put the coal in the thing.
But my dad used to say they used to take the train on vacations because my grandpa would get this big discount for trips. I don't know. I don't think it was on Union Pacific, but you know what I mean? Like
Amtrak.
Yeah, probably. But I digress.
Yes.
The train is, not only is it a part of our cultural history, but it's so canonized in art and music around the beginning of the 20th century as well, because of how over-indexed it was in connecting people together, connecting the country. So if you're outside of America, you may not realize
they have trains outside of America.
I know, but this place is enormous. America is huge, especially.
Yeah, nobody knows that, Adam.
No. Sometimes you'll see British people.
America's big.
Sometimes you'll see British people I'm going to drive. I'm staying in Houston. Yeah, I'm going to drive to Dallas for the day, and it's you can't really do that and come back. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's way bigger than you might think.
Newsflash. USA, this is your...
Geographically, I think it's more...
No, I got you. USA is big, Adam Manis.
Okay.
And Texas is big, Adam Manis.
Yes, it's bigger than a European might think, who can get to the top and bottom of their country in 4 hours. It takes a couple of days to get, by car around America.
Yeah.
And It takes a long, long time. So for these train
We're
lines,
not in our hot takes section yet.
can I finish my rant on trains, please, and the railroad, Peter?
Yes.
So we built these train. I'm just kidding. But it was culturally, it's, obviously what I'm fascinated with is musically.
Yes.
We're going to hear on Night Train, and the song Night Train itself, which we'll get into the complex history of the song, but it's there to mimic the sound of the railroads.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. It's
There's
incredible
the cultural phenomenon of trains representing travel and migration and westward expansion and all this, but there's also the actual physical sound of the trains and the whistles. And
I love this part about music that when computers come on the scene, things get dunk, 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 you know what I mean? Like very futuristic and things. And when trains are kind of taking over, the blues comes around, it's mimicking the sound of the train going down the tracks and the whistle blowing and all this stuff. It's really great.
Well, it's super cool. This is a great album. We're going to get, what else do we say about that? We got something else produced by, so Hymn to Freedom, the last track on here, which we'll hopefully get to on our way out though, but this is important for the record because this, words were put to this later, not by Oscar Peterson, by a lyricist a year or two later, and it became, Oscar Peterson wrote Hymn to Freedom in dedication to Martin Luther King, and this was during the civil rights movement and the heyday of that, the struggle, of course. And it became kind of an unofficial anthem once the lyrics were added. A really important song in the mid-'60s all the way up till today, really. But I think I had actually heard some versions of it before I realized that was before I heard it on this record and realized that it was even Oscar Peterson, which was super interesting. So that's a huge part of this record, even though it's the final track. Of course, Night Train, the first track that we came in on, is the most sort of famous one. The Jimmy Forrest, some connections with St. Louis, of course, because Jimmy Forrest was from here. Duke Ellington recorded it. It went under a couple different names, but it's an iconic jazz, blues, and of course, train song. Not John Coltrane. Maybe he played it. We don't know. We can neither confirm or deny that, right?
Should we play the first track?
Let's do it. This is Night Train. And this is credited to Jimmy Forrest, right?
Yeah.
Jimmy Forrest had a huge hit with this. A straight up R&B hit because it went to number one on the R&B Billboard charts.
However, we've found some evidence that maybe he was borrowing it from a couple different sources.
Yeah, it definitely was sourced material.
You want to hit the play button there? Start and stop? There we go. Here we go.
Caleb, nervous. Okay, comes out firing.
The feel there, the laid back eighth note.
The anticipation. Those glissandos are masterful, by the way.
Yeah, they're not this fast thing. It's this
the timing
perfectly weighted.
Yeah. And it starts, that first chorus is a shout chorus, basically like a big band shout chorus.
Tight chords there on the hits. Hat on a hat, Peter. Huh.
Ed Thigpen's brush playing. The dynamics that they use on this record, this track, but the whole record, overlooked. Like the collective dynamics and then the individual stuff they're doing within lines and
Yeah.
And for people that thought that Oscar Peterson was a super busy player, this is a great album, especially this track introducing it. This is a lot of economy of motion here, at least as he's getting into it.
You like those bluesy double stops, buddy? You like those bluesy double stops?
Bluesy double stops.
As good as it gets.
Workbook.
This whole album is a lesson on bluesy double stops. Like if you want to play those dyads, those bluesy dyads.
This is a very heavily orchestrated, like we forget, a great piano trio is an orchestration opportunity, It's not just, let's play a blues.
Yeah, we'll talk about this a little bit later. They're basically a big band, this trio.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And then economy of tracks. Oh no, there's 6 on this first. Yeah, 6. Oh, that comping. Why don't we do that more? Holding it out.
I do. You don't?
Well, when there's no drums playing, and then, but it's like Ray Brown's. I mean, their time is so dialed in.
I think this
And
is
then
like
just sneaking in with the hi-hat.
it makes a real case for having a working trio that plays all the time together. And these guys famously, like Ray told Jeffrey Keezer, they would rehearse after the gigs.
Yeah.
They would play till 2 a.m. and then Oscar would rehearse them.
Yeah.
And they go to bed at like 5 or 6. Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
That's a bass.
That's the
solo
train right there.
Yeah.
This is not that hard too if you're kind of have some piano skills. Like this is why I say beginners should start here. If you're starting your jazz piano journey, there's so much to learn just in this opening track, and it's easy to hear. It's easy to find out. Like you can develop your ears by picking out what Oscar Peterson is playing along with the record.
And especially this part, that chorus they just did, that was like the R&B kind of like the. We should listen to the original, the Jimmy Forrest. Like you don't think of him as a big band drummer, but he's doing the setups at a piano trio volume and scale of a big band drummer, right? Oh, that offset, laid back, and right on top.
Build up here.
Volume, intensity. Oh yeah.
Harmonic.
Oh. Man, I'm telling you, Ray Brown, every time I listen to Oscar, anything that Ray Brown's on, he steals the show in a way because of his, I mean, like the swing and the feel is obviously, like that's such a given that it almost becomes less impressive because it's just a constant, you know?
Yeah.
But like the little things, like the constant great intonation. I mean, if the piano's tuned well, it's a good instrument, it's going to have great intonation. But Ray Brown plays in that same way, like a greatly in tuned piano. It just becomes automatic. And then those harmonics, the detail, like it's beyond just the whole package. It's like dialed in a way that it's the template. It's like J.J. Johnson at the trombone. It's like, this is the way to do it. You can do it other ways, but it's not going to get on a higher level than that.
I think of it's almost equivalent to like Keith Jarrett on the piano, where he makes it sound so doable, what he's doing. Because what he's doing is so perfect for the song and simple. And I think Keith, while of course Keith has lots of flash as well, like Keith's language on the piano on first impression is like, oh, that's doable. Like there's like
that's a triad.
It's a triad. It's very melodic and singable. And then there's like these bebop flurries that happen in there. And so when you go in then to like transcribe what's going on, you're like, oh, okay.
WTF.
But it's also like such high level decision making.
Yes.
Such egoless decision making. Such like completely in the moment decision making that's perfect for the song, serving the song. That is what Ray Brown is a genius at. He is not just a genius at like his monster chops and this quarter note. That's all great, and the solos are amazing. But his real genius is serving the song and the band that he's in at a higher level than pretty much any other bass player.
Yeah.
Like he is playing the right thing at the right time, and that just takes so much of like a generous spirit, of a spirit to serve the music, and a lot of dedication to your craft to be able to do those, to make those decisions, to have those options available to you.
And it's easy to say like, yeah, well, he was, you know, once he was in his 50s and 60s, he had all the experience and he had the chops, he could do this. He's 36 years old. So not a young man, but
and
he was
been
also
doing it too.
Exactly.
10 years ago.
Like, 10 years before. So it wasn't like, oh, he built up to this. He just, he had that thing. He maintained it at a level that is very not rare among jazz musicians, but he was at the top level in terms of maintaining. I got a little chance to play with him, and I can tell you the story about practicing. When we took a break from rehearsing, he was practicing, and he was well up into his years at that point. So like this stuff you don't just get this stuff and then, oh, he's talented, he's got a bass, he's killer, he's Ray Brown. It's like there's a lot of work and maintenance that goes into.
We have 6 tracks on this one?
Yeah.
Let's keep it going because I don't want to keep skipping tracks for Caleb here.
Well, I don't think we know how to operate this thing without keeping going.
Let's just press. Yeah, exactly. Let's just
press. So number 2. This is fun. We get to look at the record.
I know.
Oh, C-Jam Blues. So this is a gutsy move here. You're just coming in with Night Train. We're going with C-Jam Blues. Oh, this is a blues record, isn't it?
Before we get to C-Jam Blues, let's play our Night Train bit.
Oh, yeah.
We got some Night Train
Jimmy Forrest
bits.
version?
So we've got the Jimmy Forrest version.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Lost your mic a little bit.
All right, it's back.
You might have words of wisdom.
Okay, so here's the original, not the original, as we're going to learn, but here's Jimmy Forrest's big R&B hit of Night Train. St. Louis's own Jimmy Forrest. Yeah.
Ever heard of Walking the Bar?
Did you say Walk in the Bar?
Walk in the Bar.
What is that?
That's when the sax player used to get up on the bar and
yeah.
But Dave Sanborn grew up in St. Louis, listening to a lot of this style.
Yeah, Gaslight
R&B.
Square. Yeah. And then there was the Duke Ellington. What was the name of that track?
Oh, from piano. What is it? Happy Go Lucky Local.
Happy Go Lucky Local. So that was from 1952.
The Jimmy Forrest version.
There's a couple of different Duke Ellington.
Do the one that's like piano. I'll tell you.
I got it.
Yeah, like yes, piano in the background.
So this is from 1960, but this is from a tune that is much earlier, from the 40s, called Happy Go Lucky Local.
And this really informs the Oscar Peterson trio version a lot, the earlier version of Happy Go Lucky Local.
And obviously, that's Night Train.
Yeah.
Like you're hearing Night Train.
Ooh. Woo. Oh, we got to do this record. This is an overlooked one. Piano in the background. Great record.
And then there's a song from Johnny Hodges called That's the Blues, Old Man.
Oh.
That has the other section.
Woo! That's the horn thing. What are they called?
The whistle.
Not the whistle. Like the...
Man. So here's Johnny Hodges and his orchestra. That's the Blues, Old Man. Check it out a little bit further down here. Ooh, acoustic guitar solo.
This is Johnny Hodges?
And his Mint Julep Jazz Band. I might have missed it here. Here it is. So this is from like 1942 or something.
Yeah.
When it was written. So you can clearly hear Night Train in that, which would come out in the 50s. So
yeah.
Jimmy Forrest, while he's credited with Night Train, definitely is pulling from Duke Ellington and Johnny Hodges.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, let's keep rolling with C-Jam. Speaking of Duke Ellington.
Woo!
Greatest breaks ever? One of the greatest breaks ever.
It's a great break. And you know what? The thing a lot of people miss about that, you see the notes laid out on a transcription, you're like, oh, I can play that, and you can. sense. Like, when he goes up, he pulls back when he goes up. So the first break, already, you said one of the greatest? It's already the second greatest. It's about to become the third.
Let's do it again.
Third greatest. Major seventh, you love doing that little one. We should rate each one of these, each of us, the breaks.
You should rate all the breaks.
Like a tier list. Oh. Now they're in no more breaks. There's 4.
Man, how exciting would it be to see this trio at this time
I
live?
got a YouTube link I can share with you. This. Oh, I saw him, by the way.
That's all the kids want. That's all the kids want these days.
That's all they need. Woo! Ed Thick man. Right to the hi-hat. This is how much they pulled that drums down in the mix there. Woo!
We're going to talk about this mix here at the end, but
Man, I love it.
isn't that amazing?
So I think that there's, of course, the iconic, well, now iconic version with the same trio from right around the same time, maybe even the same year, from Denmark. We'll link to that as well. The live in, I think it was in Copenhagen, somewhere in Denmark, with this trio where they're all, well,
It's
they're always
amazing.
wearing tuxes. Same tune where they're stretching out even more. It's the encore from that concert. Amazing. A lot of the same vibe. But I think with this, because I heard that, of course, later from this. Like this was like Night Train was, the whole album was like shattering to me.
Yeah.
Because I'd heard Oscar Peterson before this album, but when I heard this kind of like, you know, qualified and quantified it in a way where it was like, damn.
The energy on this is off the charts. And I got to say, Caleb, listening to it on the vinyl is amazing.
Yeah.
Like it sounds so much better than it does streamed.
Yeah.
The quality of the
sounds
sound in
scratchy,
this
a little
room. I mean, I
scratchier,
know
though.
it's scratchy, but like it's real warm.
It is warm.
Is what they
And like
say.
the
No,
stuff
but
from
you
the mix
can-
comes through in a way.
You can hear this bottom on the piano attack that
Yeah.
I just don't hear when I'm listening on Spotify. Love you, Spotify.
And even like the balance from the mix and stuff, it's just so much more just I don't know, not only accurate, just you feel like you're there.
Let's keep it rolling. What's
Yeah.
next?
Georgia on My Mind. Oh, by the way, so we can just jump right into that. Was your? Should we talk about the banger track?
Oh yeah, that was
Because you hit it.
my banger was for solo was OP's solo on the C Jam Blues, specifically that break section. I think it's some of the best playing of Oscar's entire career is that
Yeah.
solo on C Jam Blues, and actually that live video that you're going to link here in the description is maybe his second greatest playing of his career. But well, there's also
It's almost like the ultimate live version of it. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's a little longer, it's a little bit more, but it's very much like true to the original.
There's one other solo for me that could be in contention with it, which is his solo on How High the Moon at live from the Stratford
The Stratford Shakespeare Festival.
Shakespeare
Yeah, yeah.
Festival.
That's a great one.
That's an incredible. I mean, it's just like a superhuman kind of solo.
Yeah, for sure.
But the C Jam Blues solo from Night Train is, I think, top tier.
Good.
S tier.
S tier.
Yep.
Is S the top?
Yes.
S
is the top.
S for Steinway. Okay, here we go. George on My Mind. Is the piano in the room with us right now?
This is ridiculous.
Nice. Oscar Peterson, like, he had the ability to play the obvious thing, like the right thing at the right time. And it's easy to be like, of course he's going to play that phrase. He's going to come out of that bluesy. But there's something to be said for doing the right thing at the right time and doing it like off the charts quality wise.
Yeah.
You know, and so when people try to imitate him, it can come out sounding, you know, a little regurgitating somebody, you know, but it's just sublime the way he does it, you know, like you can almost expect well, I know the record, but in a beautiful way. Like that. It's not like, oh my God, he played that. It's like, oh my God, he played that so well.
Ah, so good.
I told you, dynamics,
Just
man.
wonderful. Just wonderful.
Underrated.
Never
And
too
Oscar's-
far from the melody
Yeah.
on the ballads, Oscar.
Yeah.
Which is a really important lesson for young musicians. He's never 10 seconds from the melody.
No. And it's really like he's managing all the dynamics right now.
Yeah.
Ray Brown and Vic, for the ballad, when they're playing up-tempo stuff, it's different. If only he had like a blues sensibility about him. Oh!
The greatest. Keep it rolling, Peter. I think the next one is
I'm
Bags.
adding to my underrated simple endings. Simple.
Next up, we got Bags Groove. This is my banger track. I think this is the track of not just Night Train, but maybe of this trio. Ray Brown's solo here, one of the best Ray Brown solos ever. Oscar Peterson's very subtle solo on this G blues is stunningly beautiful.
The way he's already soloing on the hit, so, and integrating it with his bass lines.
Yeah.
Ha! Such a great arrangement too. Ha! Huh. Ha. Doot it, doot it.
By the way, this is one of our 6 blues tunes here on Open Studio Pro.
Yes.
For our blues season, for the fall blues season 2024. We're working on, I know Bob DeBoo right now is working on Ray Brown's bass line on Oscar Peterson's solo, and we will be working on Oscar Peterson's solo right after this chorus. Yeah, so good, man. This is what I'm saying. This is one of Ray's best.
But it's the same thing. He's not doing anything where you're like, what the hell is that? It's more of like, how the hell does he play that, so well? Right around that final blues scale coming down.
Come on! So cold, man. He's so cold. Tonicizing that 4 every time. Look out.
Orchestration. What? Dynamics. Swing. Is this dance music right here?
Yes.
You want to dance, man?
No.
Like they're stuck in the good soft mud of swing.
Does anybody else want some sweet potato French fries right now? I'd like some sweet potato French fries right now.
I want a raw sweet potato.
Oh. Did you ever have those BB's Jazz Blues and Soup sweet potato French fries?
No.
I know, Caleb.
Are they bluesy?
The greatest.
Man, the spacing. Oh, it's just like
it's not the flashiest solo, but I think it's one of my favorite solos. Oscar Peterson's
masterful.
Masterful. Very Errol Garner inspired. That one. Like that's the big band. That's the orchestra. It's that Errol Garner.
But the arc of this thing with the bass. I mean, from beginning to end, man.
Yeah, it's a masterclass on how to play very, very entertaining, improvised, high-level music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then when you add to that just all the little details of the abrupt, what did I put on here? Abrupt, master, what did I call it? Simple abrupt endings. Another one.
I mean, the thing you have to remember about Oscar Peterson is like when you hear him speak in an interview or you read him in an interview around his entire career, you're talking about a very...
Oh.
It stopped. It's okay.
Yeah.
You're talking about a very elegant man.
Yeah.
This is someone who's like incredibly eloquent.
Well, he's from Kannada.
He's from Kannada. But like eloquent in everything he says. He's very soft-spoken. He's a sweater aficionado.
Yeah.
These amazing sweaters. Just I don't know why that stuck out to me. But it's just, but it comes across in his playing this sort of like warmth and this incredible eloquence, right? It's like this level of sophistication, as you said, Peter, in the details that really make it this elevated piece of work.
Yes.
I mean, it's just like, it's
and
so
it doesn't always happen. Having the chance to meet him a couple times and see him live a few times, which was one of the great joys and honors of like my musical career or exploration of music. I mean, it's right up there at the top of the list. Maybe we should slide that down over there. There we go. Boom, bam. Audio engineer. No, but I'm saying like getting to be around him a little bit these elements that you're saying of his music was very much his public persona. But as far as I didn't know him well or anything, but Jeffrey Keezer, Benny Green, Greg Hutchinson, folks that I know that recorded with him and were, playing with him some, like they are around him, very much like who he was, right?
Yeah.
So it's always fun when somebody's personality it's not always the case, but matches the way that they play, like when those elements come together.
Caleb, let's flip this record over. Let's listen to the first 2 tracks of the B-side, because those are your bangers. You got Honey Dripper and Things Ain't What They Used to Be.
Okay.
And we can hear Peter's banger track is Honey
I
Dripper.
almost switched. So that would be, we'll start at the top. All right, so this is Honey Dripper, the beginning of side 2. Great side 2 banger to start out with. And this is my track banger. Here we go. Boom.
Again, the train.
Yeah. Gotcha. It's okay. So no, don't worry about it. So we always got the streaming version we can go to. This is good. See, this shows the frailty, the fallacy perhaps of the LP.
It's such a good
love it,
track.
but
It's such a great track.
It is a great track. But like the swing level when they make that transition, which we actually just missed there, is just amazing. I mean, look, I could have picked anything as the banger, but I love this tempo. I love the vibe. I love the orchestration, the segmentation of the way that they set this off. It's just great.
And then your solo was this Oscar solo on Things Ain't What They Used to Be?
Yes. Yeah.
Volume good?
Ha. I love Oscar at this tempo. It's a little ways to get into the solo, but that's okay. We're loving it.
We got nowhere to go. Where do we got to be?
I'm like McLovin. I'm McLovin' it. McDonald's.
So sorry, everybody.
McDonald's.
He tagged it with McDonald's.
An American hamburger chain. Also, newsflash, the USA is geographically, a large country.
Okay, that's true.
Texas, big AF. Quote, Adam Manis, 2024.
Unbelievable.
Oh, okay. Good enough for you? Dynamics.
I'm loving it.
Are you McLovin' it? Oh.
Oh, man.
Left hand. Check out the left hand. Subtle but effective. I love the way he comps on this. Oh, the shifting in and out of the triplets and the It's funny because like this kind of playing, it seems like so easy and natural for them, but just think like when everybo's so in the groove, like the slightest error would be so obvious on this. Like if Ed Thigpen is like, like some weird rhythm, it would just be like, shout chorus, right?
Yeah, but it's not a shout, is it?
No,
it's
it's a whisper chorus.
Yeah.
It's a subtle.
It's like a murmur chorus.
A murmur.
Shouts and murmurs.
Yeah. Oh, the patience on that groove, too. Placement of the beat. Textbook. Patience in the arrangement, too.
Again, too, it's like every phrase is a bit of language that's part of the vernacular of the music. You know what I mean? Like every phrase can be used for an aspiring student. Man,
that's great.
That is a banger.
Yeah,
and then there's an oddity here too, Peter, on the Spotify.
Yes.
That we're now looking at because the record started skipping. The track after
shout
this,
out Techniques.
So like that track has almost 3 million plays, which is a lot. But like Georgia on My Mind has 30 million plays, which is
really?
a whole lot. But I Got It Bad and Then Ain't Good has 100 million plays. That's like
100 million plays.
That's like Olivia Rodrigo numbers.
Who?
I don't know. But
Olivia. Yeah.
This must be on a playlist, right? Like a big time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Coffee jazz.
Snobby coffee jazz to bore your way through the afternoon.
Because I don't like, I know this version obviously, but I don't have any kind of like.
Yeah, it's a coffee house jazz.
It must be.
Would you like a oat milk latte or?
I would love an oat milk latte actually right now.
How about a horchata?
A horchata?
Horchata.
What's a horchata?
That is a Mexican coffee drink that includes coconut milk often.
Horchata?
Horchata. Yeah.
Horchata.
Horchata.
I think it's the A on the Cortado. Cortada?
Cortata. Horchata.
Okay, now I'm getting hungry.
Yeah. This is a great album, man.
It's a great album. Let's get to some awards. Let's get to some over-underdog, right?
Oh, which one?
Well, so let's do underrated first. Our underdog, right?
Okay.
The blues. The blues is underrated.
Very underrated.
As a genre in jazz, the blues is essential. It's the most perfect musical communication device that's ever been devised.
Yeah.
It has been timeless. It lasts forever. It's just like this incredible medium that has been given to us like a gift by the masters of the music. And this album...
How do you know it lasts forever? Can you tell the future?
Okay, that was pedantic. For sure.
Sorry.
That was definitely...
So far. We'll say so far. It's lasted forever.
It's stood the test of time thus far. It's nothing lasts forever.
I mean, if you think about it in terms of being a form that is a behind the scenes kind of musicians, like what are the mechanics of it, but also to people around the world, something that they hear and identify without even knowing what it is. It's probably the most iconic musical form that exists in the world today. Not like saying this kind of blues or that, but just like people hearing the blues in different styles of music, that underpinnings, more than the sonato allegro form or something that is great and interesting too. But I mean, in terms of like what people hear and brings people some cultural awareness of what they're listening. It's the most iconic.
Sound of the blues is just unmistakable, and it's really just necessary if you want to learn how to play this music.
Yep.
Another underrated thing that you have here, Peter, is straight up swinging trio.
Yeah. We don't have to go straight eighths all the time. You can, but
there's nothing wrong with swinging. I'm gonna say that one more time. There's nothing wrong with swinging. You can be tipping.
Dude, you just got yourself
It's 2024.
You just got yourself a all expenses paid season pass to Jazz Lincoln Center for saying that, sir.
Well, they are not wrong about the swing.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't swing in my own personal life.
Yes, you do. You did it on the gig the other night, I think.
No, but man.
No, but it is. It's just like you can just play these tunes. You can just swing out. Now, some would argue, well, yes, if you're the Oscar Peterson trio, true. But that's a template there. Like I say, like a lot of this stuff, like the spirit of what they're playing, you may not be able to play it at as high of a level as them, especially this way of doing it. I don't think that anybody can. But I mean, the greatest players can get very close, but anybody can tap into that spirit of this, I think. If you like the sound, sue me. I like it. Okay, another underrated element that I think is highlighted well on this record is hits.
Oh, Like big time pop hits?
No, not that. They did that on We Get Requests. That album.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
This is more like,
Like big band hits.
Yeah, big band hits often. And shout choruses.
Oh, man.
And murmur.
This trio,
murmur choruses.
King of the shout chorus.
Yeah.
This and Errol Garner.
And dynamics.
Yeah.
Man, the dynamics on this record, like we always think about trio, like our instinct is to move away from dynamics because we erroneously think, well, I mean, there's a certain amount of dynamics that's built into a great combination of instruments like that. The acoustic bass, acoustic piano, and drums, like with great players. So in a way, yes, you can ignore dynamics, but it's so much more interesting when we use those elements the way that the Oscar Peterson trio does.
Probably the most underused thing by beginner and intermediate musicians are dynamics. And some advanced musicians.
Yeah, I agree.
If you want to, like literally tonight, level up the quality of your playing and of your band, consider more dynamics.
Yep.
Either spontaneously or in your arrangements.
Word. Simple but abrupt endings.
Those are underrated or overrated?
Very underrated. Because I think I love them on this. Because the way that they play and the way that the flow of the tune is like you don't need a whole bunch. Sometimes big long endings, Kenny Garrett, 4 minutes of improv are exactly what the music calls for. So like you guys, this is not always, but for this kind of playing, this works so well. And so I think sometimes we just put a bunch of stuff at the end because we think we have to. No, okay. That's what I'm saying. It's too much.
Too much. I get it.
Too much.
It's too much.
No mas.
Great example, Peter. Great example.
And a little foreshadowing on my, sorry, I'm going to go back into Do Not Disturb, which I'm normally in. Very strange that I'm not. Overrated, the cover of this album. But we'll talk about that when we get to accoutrement.
Hard pass on that take.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about some awards. What would what would you say is the John? This is always our most interesting. The John Coltrane Theft Award.
Who stole this record from Oscar Peterson?
Yes.
I'm going to say it's Val Valentine.
Well, he stole my heart because I don't know my Valentine heart because I don't know who that is.
Val Valentine. Sorry. Val Valentine was the engineer on this record.
Oh, it was not Norman Granz.
Val Valentine engineered this Jones, and it sounds amazing.
It does. So you're saying I was going to say Ray Brown had the theft award.
Yeah, possibly Ray Brown, but I'm going to give it up to the engineer. I'm not sure if he stole it from Oscar Peterson, but damn, just a little love for Val because it sounds amazing.
And
it really does.
We're hearing a name for the first time. That makes it Valentine.
The Oscar Peterson Overplaying Award.
Actually, it's not Val Valentine. It's Val Valentin.
Valentin?
Yep, no E at the end.
Shout out to Val Valentin. Your name finally spoken in the annals of history in the way that it should be, with no E. And I'm sure you never in your life got Val Valentine.
Okay, our next award that we always love doing is going to be very interesting. The Oscar Peterson Overplaying Award. I don't agree with this. You've got to go into Oscar Peterson.
Who else is
I don't think he's overplaying.
He's not overplaying, actually.
Well, then how's he going to get an overplaying award?
Well, it's the Oscar Peterson Overplaying Award. It's got to go to Oscar Peterson.
But he's playing he plays heavier on an Ella Fitzgerald Live in Rome record than he does on his trio record.
He played more notes on the first track of the Ella Fitzgerald Live in Rome record.
I think it might go to Ray Brown on this. Ray Brown it does some busy playing on this. Okay.
That would be hilarious if Ray Brown got the Oscar Peterson Overplaying Award on an Oscar Peterson trio record.
Ray Brown
but you might be right, Peter.
Yeah.
Because Oscar Peterson is very tasteful and subtle throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
He's really like not playing, he's not overplaying at all, actually. Yeah.
The Keith Jarrett Vocalization Award goes to
Oscar Peterson.
Yeah.
Only because you can hear him a couple times.
Yeah, there's not a lot, but there's more than anyone else.
And really, there's no Cecil Taylor taking out an award because this is all right down the middle.
We'll give that to Norman Granz just for fun.
We're going to give it to you for saying Grants that way.
Okay. Who are some subs that could have, some first call, top shelf, S tier subs that could have come in?
Well,
say on the piano, for instance.
I think for the aesthetic of the record, Errol Garner would be the first.
I think so.
I think as Oscar's hero, you'd have to put Art Tatum in the mix on this, but it would be a completely different record.
Yeah.
And then I think if we were looking at modern players, obviously Benny Green could crush this if he had to recreate this album.
He's well versed in the Oscar Peterson trio stylings.
And then bass wise, Christian McBride, a Ray Brown devotee.
Yes.
I put our own Bob DeBoo.
Another Ray
Bob
Brown
DeBoo
devotee.
is another Ray Brown head and would actually, I think, really crush this. And you have Bob Hurst here as well.
Robert Hurst. Yeah, I mean, he's such a, along the lines of Christian McBride. I wonder if either one of them, well, I should ask them, just like if they would be like, who's your favorite bass player? I think they would both say Ray Brown. I mean, if they weren't like being like, well, it depends on what. Just if you had to pick one, or maybe I should say, who's the most influential bass player for each of them? I believe, I don't want to speak for them, they would both say Ray Brown for their playing and their life too, because they both were close with them.
I think so. I know Christian, he has that lesson here at Open Studio called like Paul, Ron, and Ray.
Yeah.
Talking about Paul Chambers, Ron Carter, and Ray Brown.
Yeah.
But
So
you
we
can
know
just
he's up
hear
in
it
the
in his
top three at
playing.
least.
The influence is heavy.
But the main thing, Christian McBride, Bobby Boo, Robert, like they could all come in. They're not going to be Ray Brown, but they could all come in and nail this stuff in a way that would do it justice.
Drums, Buddy Rich, who we know has played with Oscar Peterson in the past in a quartet setting.
And you might say, oh, he's way too bombastic and big bandish for that.
No, not Buddy in these situations, though.
Yeah, especially around this time.
Yeah. And has a history with Ray Brown playing with Bud Powell's trio. Vernell Fournier, you put that there. I think that's a great call, Peter.
That was actually producer Caleb. I did enter it into the database, but Caleb provided that. And that's a great one because great trio pianist. Drummer.
And we are contractually obligated to mention Gregory Hutchinson as every first call sub because
you know what?
He could do all of these.
I know. We put him in there.
He's been in every single one.
He could come in and nail this record.
Is Hutch the most incredibly versatile drummer of all time?
I don't know about that, but he might be the most versatile. He's the most versatile drummer for records that we love.
Think about another drummer that can groove as hard as him and can swing as hard as him. There are not many.
Art Blakey.
No.
Elvin Jones.
No.
Sam Woodyard.
No.
Chris Dave.
No. Can't do both. That's what I'm saying. Who can do
Steve
both?
Gadd.
No.
Okay. Well,
you're naming people.
Kareem Riggins.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly. Marcus Gilmore, possibly. Yeah, for sure.
No, but Hutch, I think, you know what it is too, for the kind of records that we like, which is, I wouldn't say is as narrow. I mean, look, we're talking about Night Train. Wow, we're really going on a limb. This is a great record.
Newsflash.
Newsflash. The U.S. is big, and this is a great record.
Newsflash, buddy.
But yeah, I think especially for our aesthetic, Hutch he just can do a lot of this stuff. So it is what it is.
Bespoke genre, Peter, what do you got?
I think this is a classy and sometimes sassy trio jazz. Sassy trio jazz.
Too long for
classy, sassy.
Classy and sassy.
I like that.
Classy, sassy trio jazz.
Caleb likes it.
I have trio big band because of it's like a big band in a trio format. And then I also have
boring.
Did you say that?
Trio big bands. Okay, got it. It's confusing too.
Okay, so Peter is not a fan. And then Blue Bop I have.
I like that better. That's a bespoke genre.
Yeah, because there's so much blues on this album.
So we're going to go with classy and sometimes sassy trio jazz. Got it.
Okay. Why don't we just say classy and sometimes zazzy or sazzy jazz?
Sassy jazz. I don't know.
Zazzy?
Yeah.
Zaddy jazz?
No.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about the accoutrements. Let's talk about this iconic cover. Iconic cover. I kind of gave that away because this is the rare time when I think we're going to digress in our viewpoints on this.
You don't enjoy it?
I'm meh on the cover. I mean, I don't not enjoy it. I mean, I love it. This is the thing. If I didn't love this record so much and I didn't have such a connection with the cover and the music and such a history with it, like doing this, holding it and enjoying it, I think I would hate it actually. Not hate it, but I would strongly be like, no, I don't like it. I think it's one of the weakest of the great jazz albums that we look at, like sort of top 10 greatest jazz albums of all time, kind of, those kind of records, which this could definitely be in there. I would say it's one of the least aesthetically pleasing to me. Just the font, the train. I don't know what this is here. I mean, I'm not a fan.
I love it. I think it's one of the greatest album covers in that era.
Artistically, separate from the music.
I know it's a little on the nose that it's a train and the album's called Night Train.
But it's not even, it's like a new train and it's like a modern train, kind of 1963.
It's a beautiful, like 1950s and 60s train. I don't know what kind of model it is, but it's kind of an abstract photograph of it. It gets a little blurred and then blacked out and there's this like purple and blue. And as far as album covers go, like, there's nothing quite like it. Like when you see it, it's very, very distinctive. You know what I mean? This like abstract.
I didn't say it's not distinctive. I just said I didn't like it.
I think it's great.
Okay.
I do think it's not even good. I think it's great.
Great.
But we're gonna. I don't know, Caleb. You break the tie. What do you think?
Are we gonna agree to disagree on this one? Okay. Caleb is saying, he's deep in thought. I got to give a play by play.
I love the picture of the train. Yes, but I do get where you're coming from because I don't like how small the album title is, and it has a little colon. It says
yeah. So in case you can't hear Caleb, he doesn't like the way he basically agrees with me. Got it. He likes the train.
Looks beautiful.
Yeah,
The
it's like
colors
so
look
distinctive.
kind of
you know
early
it's Night
80s.
Train. Early 80s.
It's got that purpley blue Reebok.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's all right.
Correct.
Plus, I love records with the artists on them somehow. And I know we've talked about some great album covers that are just art, but to me, that's not art.
So Peter now is in the business of deciding what is and isn't art. To me, that's not art.
Don't accuse me of gatekeeping. Wait, is that the definition of gatekeeping?
Yes.
Okay. Not in my bag. NIMBY.
I get it.
NIMBY.
I get your points.
You know what album I do love the artwork on, though? This is great.
You know what's great about that joke is it just keeps getting funnier.
Is that great or it's too hot to handle?
Yeah, exactly.
Nostalgic.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll move on.
All right, hot takes.
Let us know, please. I mean, always we want to hear your comments on anything. GALA, of course, we love. But let us know what you think about this album cover, because I would be very interested to hear, because I think it's going to be split.
It might be.
Like it is. So let us know thumbs up or thumbs down and the reason why in the comments, please, on this album cover. I mean, you can let us know about the album too, but I feel like that's not going to be split. With our audience, there's going to be a lot of thumbs up for the music. But the album cover, that's interesting.
Hot takes. I think this album should be in every pianist's first batch of albums. Their first 10 albums, they should get Night Train and study it for the sort of, again, there's so much language packed into this. All those, like you said, the hits, the shout choruses. Yep. There's so much to learn. You could sound pretty good with about 6 months of really, diving deep into this. If you're at a level where you have some piano skills, right? And you're getting into jazz for the first time, you're going to learn some like really interesting voicings that are doable. You're going to learn some melodies that are really actionable, like to take to the jam session that night, because you're going to play a blues at the jam session. And you're going to learn a lot of tunes that are still jam session standards. Yeah. So it's a great entree point.
So hot take is that this should be in everybody's first batch of albums. I'm trying to think if that as much of a hot take as the USA is a big. Yep, it's pretty similar. The USA is big. This is a great album that every pianist should have.
Did you know it's cold in Alaska?
Not always.
I don't know if Europeans knew that.
Sir. Yeah.
Is it better than KOB?
No, you're skipping something.
Oh, snobometer.
Snobometer. Okay, I have this as a 7. And
why?
You sneered at that in our pre. So
you think it's a pretty snobby record?
I think snobs would love this record, but not off the charts love it.
I don't think snobs like Oscar Peterson.
Really? I don't think so. It's popular, so I brought it down some.
I've heard snobby jazz musicians say that Oscar Peterson is just the jazz Olympics and that it's just showing out.
Maybe right.
And
would Aunt Linda love this record?
I think she would like it more than she would like any Thelonious Monk album.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay, 4. I'll go with 4. What are you going with?
4.
Oh, perfect. Is it better than KOB? What do you say, Adam?
No.
Well, I'm going to go with a no, but very tantalizingly close.
Like if KOB is a 9, it's an 8.5 or something?
8.85.
Oh, splitting the difference.
Yeah. How's KOB a 9, though? We've had many 10s. I put this record as a 10.
We've had a couple of 10s. I think we've only had one. We don't do that system anymore because it's confusing. But
why? A 10 out of 10?
But if KOB is a 9, there was, I think, Love Supreme was a 10.
So is this not a 10 to you?
No, not a 10.
Interesting.
There's some flaws in it. There's too many tracks.
What?
There's too many tracks. There's 12 tracks.
Sue me, because there's so many great tracks. There's 11 tracks.
There's 11 tracks. There should be probably 8.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. It can be a bit repetitive after a while. A trio record, you gotta. Yeah.
It's a big country, man. Give it a break.
It's a big.
It is.
I'm never hearing the end of that one.
That was just for this one, man. That's just fun, man.
This was really fun. No, thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Caleb, for getting the LP on this. You guys, let us know in the comments anything that you want, but especially. Oh, what are you doing, sir? That's gonna be okay. Yeah. Here we go. Let us know in the comments what you think of the album cover. We love you. Till next time.
You'll hear it.
Reading. He composed this in the studio at the session, by the way.
Did he really?
Yeah.